What's up, everybody? Good morning. Welcome to a Monday edition. Morning Scone, presented by Brock, Baton Rouge Orthopedic Clinic. Hope y'all had an awesome weekend. LSU baseball finishes a sweep of UMass Lowell. Pelicans win yesterday, so they move into the 9 seed. They are now behind only Memphis, who they played twice, and saw this morning ESPN Stats and Info BPI has their projected percentage odds of teams earning the 8 seed in the West, and the Memphis Grizzlies have a 37% chance, and your New Orleans Pelicans have a 36% chance. So, everybody laughing at me saying they were going to get that 8 seed. All of a sudden, getting a little interesting. Anyway, let's see. Hope y'all are having an awesome morning. Please hit the share. I got my 9 a.m. meeting. It's 8:02. So let's do about 20 minutes. Then we'll wrap up, and I can scoot over to work for this morning meeting. If you're watching on Facebook, please hit the share. Please like our page as well, and like the Brock page also. And boop, boop, boop. Okay. All right, we're live. Here we go. Sorry, I was getting all my commentary. All right, so let me know your thoughts on the weekend. We now know the basketball bracket for the SEC tournament, which gets underway on Wednesday. We talked about that. LSU baseball plays South Alabama in the midweek this week before they go to Oxford to open up SEC play at Ole Miss. A few things about the baseball series from jump. Let's do that. Let's say some good mornings here. Jason Truax, Chris Boudreau, Kelly Gross. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Boop. My apologies. Refresh. There we go. So a couple thoughts on the baseball series first and foremost. Far from perfect, but definitely a get right series for this team with the sweep. So you score 11 runs on Friday, 12 runs on Saturday. You got the bats going a little bit. It was disappointing that you fell behind on Sunday, but it was a day where wind was blowing out. Gavin Dugas comes away with 2 homers, probably wind aided, but everybody played on the same field yesterday. But you were down 4-3, bottom 8. You come up with a 3-run rally in the 8th, including a 2-run shot by Dugas that gave you the lead, and you win 6-4. I love the fact that they were able to rally on Sunday and win the game. So I like that. I love Jaden Hill. I'm getting a lot of questions about Hill, and I think this is going to end up being, well, of course, it's going to end up being a recurring storyline throughout this year. But the interesting thing is what I continue to hear from people is he's one of your best, if not your best arm. Why not put him in a starting role? And unless if one of the other 3 falters, I'm going to continue to say I like Jaden Hill in this current role. And I know that this is contradictory because last year I was one of the ones pushing, certainly at the beginning of the season, for Hess to be a starter because Hess was your best arm and you needed your best arm in your rotation. The difference was LSU didn't have options last year, especially with all the injuries. They didn't have options. I mean, they were piecemealing together the rotation. So the difference is this year you've got 3 competent starters. You've got Henry and Marceau and Labus who are all pitching really well. You don't have that guy aside from Hill that you can give the ball to in the 6th or the 7th and say, here, go end the game. If you have a lead through 6, it's over because he's going to go throw 3 perfect innings of relief. You know what I mean? Or like he did on Saturday where Marceau gives you 5, you give the ball to Hill, he gives you 4 perfect innings of relief. I mean, 12 up, 12 down. If you can move Hill into the starting rotation, but if you move Hill into the rotation, let's say bump Labus out, well, Labus can be a middle reliever, but there ain't no telling. There's no way he's going to be as effective in that role as Hill is, and he might not be good as a middle reliever at all. So I like Jaden Hill in that role. Now, if one of those guys falters, like if Henry Marceau Labus really starts to struggle, then I think that becomes a no brainer. And the fact that you're extending Hill and getting him 3 or 4 innings of work is showing that he can maintain velocity and dominance. Through second time through the order. Let's see. Trivia Carter, good morning. Josh Long, good morning. Stephen Mealy, good morning, bud. Trying to view through YouTube today. Stephen Miller. Well, it says Stephen Mealy. You got a T there instead of an R. It's odd. But what's up, dude? Let's see. Terry, what's up? Good morning. New approach Friday and Saturday, always on Sunday. Terry, I'm going to disagree with you on that. Sometimes the results aren't there, but I'll tell you this much: I love that Gio DiGiacomo hit all weekend. That you can't just assume that because the results weren't the same as Friday and Saturday that the whole approach changed. Obviously, if you're doing something that's working, you stick with it. But for the weekend, shoot, I had it. I think I threw it away. The Giacomo was 7 of 11 on the weekend with 6 runs scored. Collier Cranford had a great weekend. You're getting production out of the bottom of your order, which, remember, that was the big question. We've talked about this a bunch, where that Cabrera and Beloso are going to produce for you this year. I feel like Garza will, and I would have said Mathis, but Mathis is batting. Going to Houston, when they left for Houston, Zach Mathis was batting .424. Today he's batting .283. His average has dropped almost 150 points over 7 games. He is 1 for his last 28. So this is kind of an ongoing storyline. Whereas DiGiacomo has done this, Mathis has just fallen off a cliff. So can Mathis steady himself and find it now that you're going into SEC play? It's a big question, man. But I love the idea of having Gio in the leadoff spot, because with his speed, he could put a ball on the ground to the left side and leg out an infield single. He showed you yesterday. I mean, he had a ball the wall tripled. I think maybe it was Saturday. Games run together sometimes, but he can score from first on an extra base hit. I think he is your prototypical leadoff guy if he's producing, and he's producing now, and Mathis is not. I would almost be willing to flip them in the lineup this weekend. Certainly against South Alabama. I bet Gio lead off, put Mathis down the 7 or 8 hole to see if you can kind of get his bat going a little bit. If you do, great. Now you got someone in the bottom third that's producing for when you flip the lineup. And I put Doty in the 2 hole. Let's see. Hey, Dad. Good morning. Brian Myers, Danny Brabham, Shelby, Kelly, Andrew Bear, Sam Dixon, Ben Giat, Dustin Cruel, Cassidy Russo, Jason Bourgeois. Good morning, y'all. Brant Roban. Morning, Scone man. Missed most of the game. Looks like LSU closed strong. Need this confidence booster before Ole Miss. They did, and then Devin Fontenot was great yesterday too, as he typically is. And somebody said this. I was having a Twitter exchange. I can't remember who it was with, but someone was saying, when I mentioned you don't have another reliever that comes in and closes the door like Hill, they mentioned Fontenot. Well, I look at them as very different roles. I look at Devin Fontenot as your closer. Jaden Hill's not your closer. Jaden Hill's a guy that you can give the ball to in the 6th and say, finish this, and don't let anybody on. And he will. Fontenot is a guy that you can give the ball to with a lead in the 9th multiple times in the weekend, and he'll go strike out the side. That's a very different role. You're not going to give the ball to Fontenot in the 5th. Like what they did on Saturday with Hill, where Marceau gets through 5, and then they bring in Hill in the 6th, and he pitches the 6th, 7th, 8th, and 9th. You're never going to do that with Devin Fontenot. We saw Fontenot extend last year in the postseason out of necessity. I mean, he was brilliant in the Super Regional game against Florida State. He was brilliant at the SEC tournament. when you needed him to, like, because you're in a 16 inning game and you need him to throw 4 or 5 innings, whatever it was, in the SEC tournament. But that's a big difference in the roles that those two guys are playing. Let's see. Irfan Sayad, good morning. Chuck Sanchez, what's up, Chuck? Get it? Up, Chuck. Brian Wynn, Mark Perron, good morning. Matthew Rogelio, good morning. Shelby, first day back at work after my son was born, trying to catch up on my morning scone. Welcome back, Shelly, and congrats to you and your family. That's awesome, man. Life-changing. Good luck to y'all, man. Hope all is well and healthy and happy and all that stuff, Let's see, Brent, not at work today. My oldest baby girl, Ella, is homesick at the doctor now, praying no strep or flu. Amen to that, man. Brent, it's going around. But, it's kind of crazy is this, it's been this second wave of flu and strep. And, like, you had your cold flu season, and it seems like it's subsided, but now the second wave has come. So, man, hope Ella gets well soon, man. Lee Feinswag. What's up, Larry Feinstein? Good morning. Be sure to tune in to Sports Monday with Larry Feinstein. Hey, bud. Are you going to St. Lillian? Can I have a hug? Hey, can I have a hug? Hey, Drew, come. Give me a hug.
I'll go.
And go to Walgreens. Only if you come give me a hug. And go see Crystal. Go give me a hug. Go tell me bye. Come here. Look at the rubber back here. Yes. Okay. Have a good day. See ya. Drew's going to St. Louis. See the kids. Shout out to Brock, Baton Rouge Orthopedic Clinic. They'll take great care of you. No matter what it is. I had my knee surgery there. Brother's having some shoulder issues right now. I tell you, whatever it is, Brock's got you covered. 7 locations in the greater Baton Rouge area. Let's see. Gio is doing, this is Terry on YouTube. Gio is doing great. Mathis pushing too much. I had this conversation last week on AFR with Cartwright, and when, especially at this level, especially a place like LSU, there is, like, everybody builds a scouting report against you, especially at this point in the season when there's enough film where pitchers and hitting coaches and pitching coaches, and they can look at every at-bat of yours for the entire season. And right now, I think Mathis started out on fire, and I think pitchers are adjusting to him. And I mentioned this yesterday, I think here, I'm not savvy enough to know what they're doing. If it's pitching sequence, if it's, an out pitch, if it's something that he's not seeing particularly well, I don't know. That's way above my pay grade. But that's where I look at Eddie Smith and I go, okay, hitting coach, what are they doing to your guy, and how are you going to empower him with a strategy at the plate to have success? Because right now that's not happening. That's unfortunate. Gio is reminding me of Laird. Good comparison. I think someone yesterday said Watson, and Laird is a better comparison. Watson Watson could run the ball out of the yard. Gio's never going to do that. Laird is a much better comparison. Much better comparison. Although Laird did not have a good arm. Laird didn't have a great arm. I think Gio's got a better arm than Laird. Brady Smith, Lonzo and Zion's on-court chemistry is really exciting to see. I might be jumping the gun here, but it looks like we finally have the pieces to build a championship contender. You're not jumping the gun, Brady, because you've got the centerpiece, which every team requires in Zion to build around. Like, you're not winning a championship without that elite player. That much we know. Of course, Kawhi last year in Toronto. You look at all the great Golden State teams with Steph and Durant, Clay. You got to have that elite piece first and build around, and you have that. You have the hard part. The hard part is getting that elite player. You had it with Anthony Davis. You couldn't build around him. Dell Demps' approach of young veterans just never panned out. He just screwed up too many deals. If it was Omer Ashik, if it was Alexia Jinsa, he just paid all the wrong guys, traded away draft assets, and it didn't work. This roster with a big like Favors, with an all-star 3 in Brandon Ingram. I mean, you've already got 2 all-stars. I mean, Zion, they're 3 really. I mean, because Drew wasn't an all-star this year, but guys that Zion will be, Ingram was this year, and Drew has been in the past. You've got a roster that's capable of competing right now. And what I will be interesting to see is, as they keep winning and as Zion keeps growing, does he attract more free agents? Do more free agents want to play New Orleans because of Zion? I think the answer is yes, for sure. I will be very interested to see what they do this offseason. Remember, the Pels have basically, they own the NBA draft for like the next 3 years. All the assets they got from the AD trade. They can use those assets either to draft players, to trade up, to trade for players. That like whatever. Like the Pelicans are in a point of extreme power right now, which is great to see. Hey, Brian and Annie Penton from Toledo. Don't know where we're going next yet. Well, hang out, man. Drink your coffee and watch some morning Scone. Y'all be safe wherever you're heading. You're fine. Good to see some late life in the game. Comeback win may have done more for their confidence the first 2 of the series. I agree with you. I agree with you, Irfan. I would rather face some adversity and overcome it, like the Texas game. LSU was down in the Texas game. Cabrera homered when LSU was down, gave him the lead, and then Jaden Hill came in and slammed the door. That's the blueprint, that Texas game, that I could see LSU winning Friday night series openers in the SEC with what they did on Friday against Texas. They're capable, very capable. Gerald Mathern, good morning. I agree with the pitching ideas. Think Hill will work out. Heath Williams, good morning. Jake Moses, what's up, dude? Craig Granger, Lori Prophet, Matt Anderson. Y'all please hit the share button if you've not done so yet. Sharing is caring. We appreciate that greatly. And if you're watching on YouTube, please subscribe to the YouTube channel. Let's see. Stephen Miller, Mathis hitless in the last 6, 1 hit in the last 7. He's 1 for his last 28. So if you're joining late, Zach Mathis has seen it. Going to Houston, he was hitting .424, and he's now at .283. He has seen his average drop nearly 150 points, which is really, really tough to watch. It's a bummer, man. Really tough to watch him fight it the way he is. Drew is really honing this elevator game. Love the Insta stories. Thanks, Pete. Yeah, if y'all haven't seen on Insta, I guess on Facebook story as well. Every weekend, Drew wants to go to Daddy's work, and he likes to go there because he likes to ride the elevator. No other reason. We don't even walk in the studio. He does not care at all. He just knows there's an elevator at Daddy's work, and he wants to go ride the elevator. Ryan Broussard, Dale Broussard, James Dean, Jimmy Dean. Good morning. AJ Holland, what happens when Hampton comes back? So that's another thing we haven't talked about. So Hampton has a stress reaction in his back. He'll be on the shelf for a while. Remember, this was the injury that Josh Smith had as a sophomore that basically cost him the whole year. At this point, I'm not counting on anything from Maurice Hampton. And that's a bummer. But, I mean, you remember Smith went through that year trying to come back. He came back his first at bat. He homered. But then I think they were playing Ole Miss, actually, in that weekend series. And it acted up on him again, and he was done. He was back for like 2 games, and then he was done for the rest of the year. So, just based with that as my basis of knowledge of that injury for baseball players, I mean, with all the torque of a swing, I don't know how you come back from that this year. So, if he does, great. But I'm not going to count on seeing Hampton back this year. Cheryl Wilkes, good morning. Keith Rosenbach, good morning. Dale Broussard, not to brag, but I used hand soap before it was trending. It's crazy, man. You go to the grocery store and there are like these big, giant displays of Lysol wipes and sanitizer. I'm like, You mean you people didn't do this already? Like that's why we have coronavirus spreading because people are gross and they don't wash their hands or clean up their mess. Sean Gasser, good morning. Brant Robe, no strep. That's great news, Brant. Great news. Happy to hear it. No strep, no flu, just a little cold. That would be great. Shelby, great to see the Homa kid coming through big yesterday. Fun fact, Justin Williams, another Homa kid, is getting the start for the St. Louis Cards. That is cool. Dawn, good morning. Jeff McKithen, Kelly Davis, Tyler Hales, what's up? Got started on the smoothie game today. No more coffee. Nice, Andrew. Andrew, I told you I would too. I need to make my smoothie. Do a video of me making my smoothie so you can see what I do. There's two different ones that I use. And I tell you what I do. Like I started. Today was day 49, but on the Beachbody On Demand app, there's a workout called the 100 Morning Meltdown. It's 100 straight days. You do it in the morning when you wake up, in between 20 and 30 minutes, and that's replaced my coffee. So I wake up, I do that workout, I make my smoothie, I take a shower, do morning scone. It's a much more productive way to wake up than caffeine and sugar. Just get your blood flowing, sort of a natural caffeine. Andrew Bear, what about Stevenson? I think Stevenson's more dynamic than both of them. You're talking about Laird and Gio. Stevenson's a more dynamic player than. I mean, Stevenson's in the show. He's certainly a four-tool guy. I don't know if Stevenson can hit for power, but as we talk about so often with Terrio, power is always the last thing to come. That may come for Stevenson, or it may not. But Stevenson, I think, is better than both Laird and better than what Gio is now. Breezy Bro, don't know if you brought it up. Just tuning in. Love seeing the opposite field hitting. That's great to watch. Gio for leadoff. Keep him there. Let him grow. I mentioned that earlier, Breezy. I would flip Gio and Mathis right now. I'd put Mathis in the bottom third, see if he can't get a few more fastballs, kind of get going again, and let Gio be your table setter. I'd be for it. I'd go Gio, Dugas in the two-hole. I'm sorry. Doty. Doty in the two-hole. Excuse me. Doty. Cabrera 3, Beloso 4, Garza 5. That would be my top 5. Then I'd go Milazzo 6, Mathis 7, whoever you put in left field 8, and then Cranford 9. That'd be my starting lineup. Etute Joel. Pat Huseman, Troy Russo, good morning. Too bad those draft assets can't keep the Pels a lead. They have struggled with that. But you know what I love? Did you see Alvin Gentry? He's like, yesterday he said, and they won yesterday, beat Minnesota. He goes, it's not about late game. He's like, it's about getting your ass back on defense. Gentry is finally saying things that matter. Gosh dog it. Sorry about that, YouTube. I know what the problem is on YouTube. That phone battery is dying rapidly. So I just need to have, that was the reason the video froze is because the icon popped up that said low power mode or low battery. So I needed to tap that to low power mode. I just need to make sure I keep this phone plugged in the whole time during the show. That's my apologies. I'll do it tomorrow. Let's see. I got to get going, y'all. I got my 9 o'clock meeting. Hey, Adrian Bowser, good morning. Stephen Broussard, good morning. Brant Roban, if LSU wins its first game in Nashville, do they get out of the dreaded 8 or 9 seed? I don't think it's that cut and dried, Brant. I think it kind of depends on what happens around the rest of college basketball. Also depends who they play. If that ends up being Arkansas, I think that's a much better shot for a nice win than let's say Vanderbilt manages to win a couple of games and comes through there. But I really think the way you're going to move up a line is with a quality win, which means you'd have to run into either Auburn or Kentucky and win that game. And if you did that, then I think you can move up a line. You're fine. Would like to see Cranford play the Cole Freeman role. Grant Cole was a great 9-hole hitter. There's no doubt. I mean, he gave you basically 2 leadoff hitters back to back once you flip the lineup. Let's see. Jeff discovered Devil's River yesterday out of Dallas. 117, proved $30. I'll give it a look. Pelicans win 2 in a row. Can they make the playoffs? Mark, I've been saying this for weeks, man. And every time they lose, you say fire Gentry. And I've been telling you for weeks they're going to get the 8 seed. They're gonna do it. Next Saturday, the 16th. I told you this 100 times. They're home against Atlanta. It's a 6-game stretch where they can win all 6 games. Set on this 4-game road streak swing. If they could find a way to split those 4 games, great. They beat Minnesota. Let's see if they can beat Sacramento. Even if they lose the next 2, I'm assuming they're going to lose at the Clippers. But even if they lose the next 2, you come home, start that 6-game stretch, you win them all, including 2 games against Memphis. You're the 8 seed. All right, I got to go. Mark said LSU needs 1 in the tournament to ensure an NCAA tournament bid. Completely disagree with you, Mark. They're in already. They could lose on Friday and they're still in. They may fall to a play-in game if it's an ugly loss, but they're in. LSU is in the tournament. 21 wins, 12 in conference, a net in the top 30. You are in. You're in. You're in. Regardless of what happens. If they go, even if they lost to Vanderbilt in the SEC tournament, it would not matter. LSU is in. They're in the tournament. At this point, it's all a matter of seeding at this point. All right, y'all, I got to bounce. Y'all have an awesome day. Please share the post. If you're watching on Facebook, Brock is tagged in the post. Please like the Brock page. Appreciate that. If you're on YouTube, please subscribe to the YouTube channel. We appreciate you greatly. All right, y'all have an awesome day. Locked on LSU coming up later. AFR at 3 o'clock. We'll see you then. Later.